Welcome back to the program. I'm James Morrow, and you're watching Outsiders with myself, Rowan Dean, and Rita Panahy. Well, if it wasn't obvious already that Joe Biden was having difficulties managing the public duties of the office of the President of the United States, then I think his performance at the G7 summit in Italy over the past 2 days should have laid any doubts about this to rest. And that's before we get to what Joe Biden has been up to back home. Shocking vision has emerged of an angry Joe Biden losing his cool and threatening to throw a TikTok influencer's phone across the room at the White House, which I want to share with you in a moment. But before we do that, let's go back to the G7. Now, of course, the footage that emerged early on from the event, including the bizarre spectacle of the U.S. president wandering off after a skydiving display and having to be wrangled back into line by his counterparts, other world leaders, was bizarre enough. And this led to amazed commentary from around the world, as well as this fantastic New York Post front page, Meander in Chief. That's him, folks. And then there was this uncomfortable moment when the president went in for an intimate forehead-to-forehead moment with the Holy Father, Pope Francis. As our good friends at the Babylon Bee joked, Biden disappointed after huge scoop of vanilla ice cream turns out to be Pope Francis. Tough luck, sir. Better luck next time. But this is, though, all joking aside, serious stuff, or as the president would say, not a joke. Biden apparently, for reasons we can only speculate on, also skipped out on the official big G7 dinner with his other world leaders as more concern mounted that his performance behind the scenes was even more woeful than what he was doing in public. The Sun's Harry Cole was there, and he reported that one diplomatic source said Biden was, quote, the worst he's ever been, and said Biden was fading in and out and going from being mentally sharp to totally out of it. Here's a bit more of what Cole, who reported from the summit, had to say.
Most G7 summits are diplomatic sprints. You expect to see the President of the United States, as other world leaders, doing a flurry of meetings. Has he been doing the same thing?
No, he ducked out of the dinner last night, and frankly, Jack, I'm gonna ruin my story for the paper tomorrow by telling it to never mind the ballots. But my sources, diplomatic sources here, people I've been speaking to, say it's the worst they've ever seen Joe Biden. Wow. And he's in a bad way, and he's losing focus in meetings. Sometimes he's very sharp, sometimes he's very much not. So some worrying developments there.
Pretty damning stuff, frankly, and this whole thing where he's hot and cold, on and off, really does appear to be, a genuine thing, as does Biden's rising, and let's face it, it was never great, temper. Now, overnight, new footage has emerged of the president losing it at a recent White House event to court support from social media influencers. Let's see how that went for him.
And I know you're a typical press guy. You're grabbing me in front of this all of a sudden. And I trust you as far as I throw your phone. I have a good arm, man. I'm sure you can. I can throw it a long way. But my point is this.
Wow. Yeah, he's got a good arm there, man, and he don't trust you until you can throw your phone. I don't know. I mean, honestly, and he's not afraid to use that good arm, I suppose. But here's the rest of the exchange, which saw aides have to swoop in and break up the confrontation, I don't know, before Biden went all corn pop.
I have made very clear to the Israelis what they have to do in the near term. If they don't, what's going to happen?
What's going to happen? Is the U.S. going to cut off funding?
I came because usually you tell me I have a nice suit and you didn't comment on my suit today, so I will feel a little offended.
No. Thank you. Thank you, sir, please. Thank you.
I guess the president had to go bang his razor blade in a rusty barrel or something out the back and get a length of chain. Anyway, yeah, I think the way that effort to court young influencers isn't going too great either. in a more broad sense, because according to the Washington Post, quote, the Gaza war, lack of progress on climate change, and a potential TikTok ban are spawning anti-Biden content even among former supporters. But if that performance at the G7 is any indication, bullshit TikTokers are the least of Biden's problems. If only he could remember what those problems were. I don't know.